I would now like to invite Alice Yet up to the microphone. She's one of our interviewees, and you'll all recognize her, I hope, from the invitation to this event, and she's the lovely picture you see on our invitation.
Can you hear me? Because if I stand behind here, I won't be able to see you. Yeah, so, you know, I don't need to. Can you hear me all right? No. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Alice Ye, and I will be 92 in October of this year. I'm so very, very happy to be here, to be a part of this project, and I feel very honored and privileged to be able to say a few words to you. But most of all, I want to thank the society for taking the step to preserve what the Chinese Canadian women did for Canada. Because if we do not showcase them and document what they have done, their patience and their nourishment for the family, I think they will be forgotten, because the history, and now they will be part of Canadian history. Now, I just wanted to tell you too that I don't know whether my experience in life here in Canada has made any difference, but somehow I feel that in my youth, when I was interviewed by Julia, she helped me to think back into the days of my youth. And I remember in the 20s, the times were different than now. And people don't know the Chinese very well, because the Chinese have a tendency to live together in a group. They felt I don't know why they did that, because for friendship and close relationship. So the English people, they didn't know us very well, so they were ignorant about our ways of living and how we conduct ourselves, our culture, and everything concerning us. And when I was a small kid, I used to hear my classmate telling me, Alice, my mother said for me not to go down to Chinatown because I might get stabbed. And you see, I looked at the Hollywood movie, and they used to make movies about Dr. Fu Manchu, the cloak and dagger bit, and no wonder the Caucasians are frightened of the Chinese. And instead of building friendship and good relationship and a partnership with the Chinese, they had suspicions because of their ignorance. They were fearful of the Chinese. So, you know, when I graduated from high school, I didn't have a chance to go to university because the thinking in those days was, why go to university? Because you can't get a job anyway. And so the parents, they wanted us to go, but it was not possible because we were looking elsewhere then for maintenance, to help to get a job to maintain ourselves. But it was during a time of depression, and there was a lot of unrest, and economic conditions were not good. So their ignorance tend to build up resentment against the Chinese. And that's why we have the Exclusion Act and so on, you know that. So the group of Chinese, when we finished high school, we thought, golly, we got to do something about that. Thank goodness my mother was a wonderful woman. She is uneducated, but she has a far-sighted vision. And she allowed our group to meet in our home. And she even made refreshments for our members. And we were able to think through what we can do to help destroy and build up relationship so that we can live together in harmony with one another. So one day we heard about the drama festival that is happening in Victoria, and we happened to meet the adjudicator and some of the people who were in the drama festival. So we asked them, could we put on a Chinese play? We don't have any skill or ability, but we would learn and we can show what some of our culture is like. And they were very happy. This was a picture that was taken when I was 18 years old by the adjudicator after we put on our show. And I didn't know that it would be published and used here, but I'm glad because our culture is full of wonderful things. And not only that, but through our culture and our nurturing of food to give them a good feeling, you know, they say to develop relationship is always through the stomach, you know. So food was wonderful. We were able to engage the Caucasian community enjoying our Chinese food. Now they were able to go down to Chinatown to enjoy the Chinese restaurant. Before they didn't go, and the Chinese restaurant just catered to the Chinese people. Now they opened the restaurant and they have welcomed the Caucasian too, and they enjoy the food. And as they learn more about the Chinese, they develop a close friendship and relationship, and we were able to work together in harmony. And we had a wonderful time, and I'm so glad I am part of that. That was my experience. And then later when I grew up, and I worked in the War Department, and then I went to University of Toronto to finish to get my degree, so I can do something for myself. And I remember I worked as a social worker, and in the War Department, and also after the war, I somehow went to the Far East because my husband graduated as an engineer at the University of Toronto, and he was sent by the Canadian Red Cross to work in Korea in the refugee camp. So he came back and took me to Tokyo. I couldn't go to Korea because the war was there, and I went to Tokyo. And there, in Tokyo, because Japan has signed the treaty of sovereignty, to regain their sovereignty, they started diplomatic relations with other nations. And the Chinese government was starting opening diplomatic relations in Tokyo, and they were looking for a person who is not involved in political intrigue, who doesn't know Chinese, who is able to do shorthand and typing. Well, I filled the bill. So they hired me while I was just visiting Tokyo. So I had a wonderful time working for the ambassador, meeting the diplomatic people, and learning about other people in other nations. It was a wonderful time. And then when I came back, I raised my son, and then I went back, as I say, to work as a social worker. And I worked there for 18 years, doing frontline protection work with needy children and needy families.
If you say any more, they're not going to listen to
Oh,
you.
I'm sorry.
Every little way.
I'm so excited for 3 minutes. I can carry away.
Just wait till you hear the full intro.
I better conclude. But anyway, I think it was wonderful because we need to know about the past in order for us to go forward. And the fact that we are showcasing the Chinese Canadian women, it just makes me feel with pride. I think my mother should have been with me, not me.